Ja, hallo, hier sind wir wieder beim dritten Teil unseres YouTube-Gesprächs für SWR 2 und Arteschock Filmmagazin aus München von der Berlinale. Wir sprechen mit Azize aus Istanbul and switch to English. Welcome again, Azize. We were just talking a little bit about political correctness at the Berlinale, and I have, of course, we could dig into this topic, but I wonder. About first of all about some awards, some other ideas. What do you think? What will happen tomorrow night? Who will or who could win the awards? Or which films would you wish for winning the awards?
I realize that I'm more and more less interested in competitions and in awards. Really.
Me too.
I mean, it's like. Yes, there are films that I like Langjährige Leiterin. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, it's a great film, great acting, and she's very successful in conveying the feelings and everything. I like her very much. I mean, recently, all her films. But, I don't know if, competitions are just the fun of it, But it's kind of becoming like the main aim to make the films that I don't like. So it's okay, I can just sit down and talk with my friends for just, really it doesn't matter to me anymore. It matters less and less. I'd rather talk about a film or things like that, or it's like Eurovision in a way. Oh, this song is better, or this country, or this thing. Because, then this competition pressure also, even if it's a good film, bad film, even if you win an award or you don't win an award, it's like you can never know the consequences, especially in the big festivals like Cannes, like Berlin, like Venice. It can become something totally different, and it can have sometimes maybe even negative effects on the film somehow. If it's a disappointing decision.
Is there an example for it?
I don't want to give, film names, but the feeling of it. I don't know. I would like Lavine win an award, or Isabelle Huppert in that sense for her acting in the film, or like in Winterberg's film, the cast was very good, and the film itself. Or these are the films that were interesting. I haven't seen the whole competition, by the way. There are films that I haven't seen in the competition. But in that sense, really, it's like there are way too many films to talk about, over 400. So it's like, of course, the competition is a way to attract attention and to make people.
Well, in a perfect world, the competition should be a statement of the festival, what kind of cinema we love and which we think you must see. All the other sections is you should see, or you can see if you have time. But the must-see should be, in my understanding, the competition. Of course, in the Berlinale it is not, I know. In the Berlinale, I think from the big festivals in the world, it's the festival where side sections are the most important. So, Forum and Panorama, I don't know. You were strolling around, I think. So, what did you discover in the other sections?
I've seen quite interesting films in the side sections. For example, one of them we talked with you, the Egyptian film in the last days of the city.
Yeah.
From our region and from it's like what we've talked in the first two parts of this conversation
It's
and
a film,
everything.
I will just put it together. You think a bit too French in the style. What I like very much, it reminded me a bit to Chris Marker and of course Godard, but as well to Dominik Graf, the German director. The question is how to narrate a city and how to narrate in the city the life, the existential situation of all of us, but in the same moment how to narrate it in a universal way and tell the story of the country and tell a story of the filmmaking. So if Orhan Pamuk would be a filmmaker in Turkey, he would do a film like this, I think, about Istanbul. Would you agree?
They made a film about Istanbul.
No, but he was not
he was not doing it himself.
No. Luckily for him.
No comment to that. But then I think you are right, and through the eyes of an intellectual, really trying to see. And what struck me most is to see those parallelisms between, for example, it could be Istanbul as well.
Yeah.
All these things happening, it struck me. For example, demolishing down the houses and making the shopping malls instead and everything. Those are the things that we are facing everything. And I think the very, very the very striking part for me was they were in a film festival, 3 directors coming from different countries, one from Beirut, he's from Egypt, the other one coming from Iraq, and they are talking about war because like that becomes like part of your life. I mean, war is not something that breaks out for you. It's there. You are living with it, and they say like, was it better to live in Beirut before the war or during the war or after the war? And he said like, maybe you will be outraged of what I say, but like I would say that it was better to live during the war because like then you somehow learn how to appreciate every moment of your life, and which was very, very striking and sad to me. And this is a feeling that is becoming more and more familiar to us as well, which is very scary in a way.
This film is a film about melancholy and nostalgia, so maybe about what you call hüzün.
Yes.
In Istanbul type of melancholy.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's as well an image of the fact what we call migration or refugee causa, and about, of course, the Arab Islamic place. And in this way, what I like is it's not serving to the obvious. Not even in this image of Cairo, because I've seen many films set in Cairo, but I've never seen a Cairo like this
one.
Yeah. And by the way, talking about Lebanon, have you seen the film Made for Everyone? I love very much. It's a documentary about maids from Lebanon and about an agency who is transferring maids from Sri Lanka, the Philippines, and from Ethiopia to Lebanese families. Not even rich families, even the petit bourgeois families need a maid. And through this image, you never see the maids except on photos, but you listen to people talking about the maids, and you have a whole country. And the infrastructure, the economic structure, the power structure of the country, and you see an image of Beirut, without bombs, and without militias from whomever, or without refugees and all the usual quarrels you see. Western society, very modern, very rich, very nouveau rich, corrupt, cynical, talking about maids with a bad conscience, of course, because they are politically correct. So I can recommend this film to you.
I would definitely like to, and like we have a Turkish Film in Forum, which is the story of maids in Turkey as well.
I haven't seen this film.
So it's like Turkish maids, mainly Kurdish, working in the bourgeois rich families and their faith and everything. So it's like these are. I like the way they talk to each other. Somehow, like as you say, you learn a lot about the life of those people, about this society, how we look at each other. So in that sense, it was very interesting. It's called Dust Cloth.
Great. I want to see this.
So
speaking about discoveries, before you tell me maybe 1-2 more of your personal discoveries, I have a general question. We were talking about animation, Japanese anime before, and I remember that the first anime, in fact, on a big festival was in Berlin. It was Princess Mononoke in '97, where Moritz de Havilland was still director, so not Koslik's discovery. And then 4 years later, under Koslik's first directorial year, animation won.
It was in the competition. They changed the rules.
I know. And as well in 1988 already, or 89, the first Chinese film ever was in Berlin, and it won. It was Red Sturgeon by Zhang Yimou. And we have many, to make a long story short, we have many discoveries which took place in the Berlinale. Discoveries of the 5th generation, of Romanian wave even, of Love Diaz with his first films in Forum, and so on. But what did, in your opinion, the Berlinale discover in the last 15 years, let's say? Because I have the impression that Berlinale lost its ability to discover anything. They are now playing Gianfranco Rossi, but after he has won in Venice, so it's easy to do that. They are now playing Love Diaz, but after he has won the big award in Locarno, and so on. Mia Hansen Love was not a discovery of Berlinale, it was a discovery of Cannes. Okay, she's a French director, that's no problem. But Thomas Winterberg, Danish director, discovery of Cannes, and so on.
In that sense, I think for me the last discovery was Asghar Farhadi that I discovered in Berlin. Really, it's like with about Eli, and afterwards
Nadir and Shimi.
and afterwards especially Separation. And Separation was for me like the last 10 years, I think it's one of the best films that I've seen, and really.
Me too.
And for me, really, I mean, that year of Separation, this one and Bellatar, really, I mean, I didn't have to see any other film.
Yeah.
It's like that was more than enough.
There are always 2-3 great films.
But it's not, I cannot tell that only Berlinale has that type of problem. You know, like when you become bigger and bigger, the expectations are growing as well. You know, like I'm now talking from a festival organizer person point of view. You know, like that's becoming more and more difficult. The expectations are higher. Everybody, I mean, all these people, accredited people coming here, they are telling all these photographers, journalists, they want to have celebrities on the red carpet. They want to have, you know, like it's.
There's nothing more boring than celebrities.
But on the other hand, you know, like that's how, you know, like you have to make the sponsors happy. You have to be on the news all the time. People have to talk. I mean, what did she wear? What did she do? I mean, it's getting more and more difficult to introduce those discoveries. And it's not only a problem in Cannes. Look at in Berlin. Look at Cannes, for example. It's exactly more or less the same thing. Maybe now.
I think they discovered the Greek new way.
Okay, but I mean, it's like it's now. Look, they are taking. But on the other hand, they are taking less and less risks lately. You know, like you see that the discoveries are more in certain now than in the competition. So it's kind of like maybe not just up to the festival director as well. You know, like the situation is it's such a huge event, such a big organization that, you know, like it's becoming more and more difficult to be daring. That's why, for example, a festival like Locarno has this, because I mean it built its character on it.
Who is, in your opinion, really running the place? Is it a director like Dieter Koslik, or is it more maybe the big world sales companies which tell him what to take?
No, it's a combination. No, I mean, they don't tell him what to take, but I mean, it's a very difficult job to try to please everybody. Very difficult job to try to please the board, the audience, the critics, the sponsors. Really, it's not an easy task. Let's face it.
I have a lot of pity for Dieter Koslik.
Not pity, let's say. No, but on the other hand, it's like and to raise the money to organize this festival and everything. But they are showing so many films, by the way. I mean, like around 400, and such a huge audience. So it's like maybe you cannot make it all at the same time. And plus, I think it's not just Berlin, but all the festivals, like trying to make all these discoveries at the same time. Maybe there are not that many good films to discover left. Also, like we talked about this, you know, like increasing the content and everything. But I mean, can we talk that the same increasing the quality as well? In that sense, maybe there are way too many films and
absolutely inflation. We are again at this. So for the end of this talk, let's switch perspective to Turkey, because we have here this year in competition we have no Turkish film as well. I think in Panorama, in Forum, yes, in Panorama I'm not so sure.
No, there's one Forum and 3 in Generation.
Yeah, and we have a Turkish director, of course, Azize. We were talking before.
Yes.
Did you see the film?
Yes, I have seen it yesterday. I'll find mine. It's her first German film. I liked it. I mean, it's like Aslı is a very talented director, and in that sense, I think she is the only, let's say, international director, because the film she made is a German film.
Absolutely.
It's a German film. I mean, it has nothing to do with Turkey.
And
if you didn't know that she was Turkish, you would never imagine that it's a film made by a Turkish director. Exactly. And I think there is no other example in Turkey, because she's living in Berlin for so many years, and she studied here and she has worked here. But on the other hand, that's a talent. I don't know, like maybe it's not very easy to make such a good film on a society that, in fact, okay, you are living in, but you were not born here, and then you came here afterwards. Really, it's a big success. Mm-hmm. And so it shows the variety of her talent as well. Because before, the films she made were taking place in Turkey, and in fact she won an award with Men on the Bridge, kind of documentary fiction mixture, which was a very interesting film for Turkish cinema that many people were like skeptical about, but she shows that her talent is like making her better and better with each film.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. I think this new film is her best so far, and it should have been in competition, in my personal opinion. Okay, you don't agree, but yeah, I as well, because I think sometimes in Panorama the films are a bit lost. I love the Panorama section. They have very good films and entertaining films, not as strict art films like in Forum, but sometimes the film is forgotten 2 days later, and this film deserves not to be forgotten. Auf einmal by Azize. So what about the two Turkish films in a generation?
There were 3 films in Generation. One of them was a documentary, and in fact is by Mete Gümürhan. He's kind of like Dutch Turkish. He's living in Holland, and he's a producer at the same time. This is his first documentary on a very different subject matter on oil wrestling. And he shows the little boys how they are trained to become famous oil wrestlers
in Turkey.
afterwards. In Turkey,
Okay.
in Edirne.
Wow.
There's a big tradition of more than 500 years, and you know, like they are very, very well known, this oil wrestling thing, and it's a very interesting topic and very well made documentary. The other one, Blue Bicycle, is you know, for me, here the Berlinale Generation section is like shows how much the cultures are different from each other. For example, for us, if we had a generation section for 14 to 17, those were not gonna be the films that we would show. I mean, it's like because we are a, let's say, more conservative country where we want to protect our children more, so they shouldn't see certain
we don't protect
topics. No, but I mean, we are kind of overprotected. No, but I think it's healthier this way, you know, because now, especially nowadays, a child of 15, 16 years old is like kind of, they're open to everything.
And now we are coming back for only last sentence.
Okay.
What is it, Azize, what is it to be expected in the next month or in this year, 2016, from Turkish cinema? Mustang, of course. Mustang is a great film which is nominated for the Oscar.
But then it was not very well received in Turkey for many sense. I think she's a very, very talented director.
Great film.
But in the sense, content-wise, there are some problems with script and everything, which was a bit problematic for Turkish people and industry as well, not just the audience, but the industry as well, to receive it in a positive way. But I think she's a very, very talented director. But I think in the coming years, it's not a very... there are way too many films being made in Turkey at the moment. More and more comedies and commercial films, because they seem to work, but I think the number of, for those films also, the number of the audience is decreasing. And I think for the art house cinema, it's getting more and more difficult to make, I don't know, outstanding. There are too many first-time directors. And I'm really curious to see if this, you know, like second or third generation after Nuri Bilge Ceylan, Semih Kaplanoğlu, how consistent they are going to be with their second, third films. I mean, are they going to be able to continue like the previous generation succeeded, like Yeşim Ustaoğlu or Zeki Demirkubuz? You know, like, it's like, will we be able to see those second or third films as successful as their first film? And sometimes the first films also are not that promising. That's something which makes me curious. You know, like we like, let's say 10 years ago, we were not so open internationally. Now we are open to co-production markets. They are everywhere, Turkish projects, because in a way Europe needs that kind of creativity. I mean, we have more means and everything, but I'm not so sure that we are making so good in stories, in scripts, in a country where in fact there are endless stories. I see that as a problem to be solved. So we found the ways to find money in a way, although very difficult, although still very difficult. But to make the co-productions or to find the money or to find the means to make the film doesn't mean that in fact this film should be made.
No.
Are we doing the films for the wrong reasons or for the right reasons? That's something to be discussed. But I mean, there are directors like, for example, Aslı still for me. I don't know if she's going to make her next film in Turkey, in Istanbul. Yeah, most probably. And Mahmut Fazıl Coşkun, for example, is a director that I'm following. Or Tolga Karaçelik, who made a very good second feature, Ivy, which was in Sundance last year. Or Emin Alper. I mean, there are names that I can say yes. It's a good thing. Okay, I could at least say 4 people. But I mean, there are way too many first-time directors that I hope will be able to continue.
Yeah. So let's hope and fight for cinema, not just in Turkey, but as well in Turkey we need to fight it.
No, everywhere.
Thank you very much
thank
for
you.
this
Thank you.
big talk with Azize.
Thank you.
Tschüss, bis bald auf YouTube von SWR2 und Artischock.